to Where I Long to Be, a magical trip report podcast. My name is Virginia, and I am your host. I have another review to share with you today, and this one comes from listener mmtrainer17, and it is titled, Elizabeth is our fave guest. The review reads, love, love, love. Such a fun podcast. Elizabeth is our favorite guest to listen to. I hope she comes back more. The chemistry with Virginia and Elizabeth is great. Listening gets me through till my next Disney trip. Thank you so much for that review. I always get so much positive feedback from Elizabeth's episodes, so I know you are not the only one who is hoping she will be back. And I have no doubt that you will hear from her again. She's always welcome, as I've told her before, and I mean it. Since the last episode, I have filled up the remainder of my 2025 schedule. So I am currently looking for people traveling during the holidays and into early 2026 to be trip report guests. If that's you, please head to my website, which is whereilongtobepodcast.com, and click on the Be Our Guest button. On today's episode, Alex D is back from her big multi-family trip to Walt Disney World. She was traveling with her husband Will, her sons Ted and Charlie, ages 6 and almost 4, her mom and dad, her sister and brother-in-law, and their 3 kids, ages 10, 9, and 5, her sister's mother-in-law and sister-in-law, and her sister's adult nephew. If you lost count, that's 14 people. They were all staying at Animal Kingdom Lodge, with a majority of them staying in hotel rooms at Jambo House, and her sister's mother-in-law, sister-in-law, and adult nephew staying in a 3-bedroom villa over in Kidani Village. Alex and her family had 10-day Park Hopper Plus tickets, while the rest of the crew had 5-day Park Hopper Plus tickets. I think that should be all you need to know to get caught up. So with that, please enjoy my conversation with Alex. Welcome back, Alex.
Welcome back, Virginia.
Thank you. We've had a couple of technical difficulties here, but I think we're on the right track now. So we have a huge group of people that went on this trip. 14 by my count, which is really, really a massive amount of people. So overall, how did this trip go, having that many people to sort of juggle in all of the plans?
It was pure chaos, but we did it. And I managed all the lightning lanes, and we managed to all still like each other by the end. So I think it turned out pretty well.
That's good.
I think the matching shirts we had, though, were very appropriate by the end of the trip, that say, my family drives me un poco loco in Disney World.
I love it. I love it. Did you make those shirts yourself, or did you order them?
I think my sister found them on Etsy, and then we just decided on which one we all liked.
Matching shirts can be fun. It's just, sometimes you have to really work to find something that everybody will like. And there are some people who never, ever will commit to wearing a matching shirt. So it's amazing that you got the entire group to do that.
Well, it wasn't really my idea. I just sort of went along with it. But I think I did pick the final shirt because I thought I'd be the choosiest of the group.
Oh, okay.
So it was kind of my decision.
This was your first trip to Disney in years, correct?
More than 20 years.
Wow. And you used to go regularly when you were young. So I guess having a huge gap of time like that, and a huge gap in ages from when you were there before, how did you feel about the magic in the parks? Did it feel the same, or did it feel a different type of magical? What were your thoughts on that?
So I would say it felt like a different type of magical, but it was also like a lot of things were different. Some things were the same, but some things were different. Like rides had been redone, like Tiana's. And, it's a little different as an adult trying to take care of your 2 little kids, but it was still magical, and my kids loved it, and seeing them love it made me love it in a different way. So I think it was good. And there was a lot of new stuff. So it wasn't like it was before. There was plenty that was new to see and that I enjoyed.
How did Will feel about it? Because from what you told me before, does not think he remembered anything from his trips as a child. So when he got there, did anything come back to him?
No, absolutely nothing.
Oh, he's Dory when it comes to Walt Disney World, except for long-term memories instead of short-term.
For all of them.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Just
all
kidding.
all memories all together. Okay. You had mentioned that Ted, your oldest child, was into roller coasters, and Charlie, the younger one, was a bit of a daredevil. So, how did they do on the rides? Was there anything surprising to you about their reaction to some of the more thrilling things?
Yeah, so they actually, the first day they both went on dinosaur and they were fine. I
Hmm.
was really surprised. The photo, I'm actually cowering at the point where I know the dinosaur is going to come in because
Hmm.
it's pretty realistic. But they were fine. And then they also did Tower of Terror, both of them, and they
Oh,
both liked
wow.
that too. And my oldest actually wanted to go back. And Teddy loved all the roller coasters. He was very into that, and he loved Guardians. But he
Mm.
loved Slinky Dog the most out of all of them, I think.
You said Charlie also rode Tower of Terror,
He did.
and he's not even 4 yet, right?
No, he turns 4 next month.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I took Alex on my son Alex on Tower of Terror when he was 5, and it made him not like it for years and years and years. Now it's one of his favorite rides, but at the time I think I traumatized him a little bit. So Charlie came off and was totally into Tower of Terror.
I don't know if I would say he was into it, but he liked it. I mean,
Mhm.
my oldest one liked it more. There
Yeah.
wasn't a whole lot of, there was a pre-show and all of that, but it was like kind of shorter. We rope dropped it, so I think we were one of the first people on the ride.
Well, let's talk through all of the details of your trip. So, you were flying in and arriving at different times as other people in your party. So, I wrote down that you were arriving around 2 p.m. or so. Where did you fly from? I did not make a note of that.
We flew from St. Louis.
Your parents were coming with you, so they were the people who were with you on that flight, but your sister was arriving at a separate time, I think earlier, and her in laws were arriving at a separate time later. Was there any hiccups with the travel?
So there were no hiccups with the travel. It did take a little longer than I expected. My sister actually wound up booking the same flight as my family and my parents, so we were
Hmm.
all on the same flight together.
Oh, okay.
Once we got off, they had cars, so we separated. They did their grocery shopping, and I got Instacart to the hotel, and then her in-laws showed up later that night after dinner.
Okay. And you had rented a stroller from Kingdom of Strollers. I assume everything went well with the delivery of the stroller. They're a great company. How was having a double stroller? Are you glad that you rented the double?
So I would say that I would probably do a different company next time, so I don't have to wait around on the delivery.
Hmm.
Although it was good, it was pretty smooth, but I would just like to be able to get it on our own time whenever we get there and just pick
Hmm.
it up. Um,
And there's only one, I think, one company at this point that does that, isn't it? Scooter Bug.
and my sister
That
did that, and
Yeah.
I thought that that worked out a little better. But
Hmm.
the stroller was kind of big, and I had my husband carry it around and collapse it every time because even though I'm fairly strong, I was an athlete as a kid. I
Hmm.
had a hard time managing it.
Hmm.
And I think maybe next time we might do like folding strollers or something like that,
Hmm.
just because it was very large.
Hmm. What kind was it?
It was a bob.
Oh, okay. Yeah, those are huge. Okay. I think that that's one thing that when you do have a stroller at Disney, there has to be sort of a coordinated effort, particularly when getting onto transportation of who's going to be getting the kids onto the bus, who's going to be folding the stroller, what do you do with all the stuff that's underneath the stroller that's been riding around all day? It's kind of a little bit of a ballet to get it all done. But how did you like Animal Kingdom Lodge?
So we loved Animal Kingdom Lodge. It's the same as it was when we were there the last time, the last couple of times.
Hmm.
It's really nice to be able to come back and sit on your balcony and just watch the animals at night. And we could see the tour, the night tour at the hotel go by around 9 o'clock every night, and we could sort of vaguely hear them in the distance. It was really
Hmm.
pretty. We got home almost every night for the sunset. So that was really nice to be able to just have that at the end of the night when we were all winding
Hmm.
down.
Did you end up getting connecting rooms for those of you who were in Jambo House? Because I think your sister's in-laws were over in Kidani Village, but most of you were in Jambo.
So we did not get connecting rooms. We were 2 rooms over from my parents and my niece, who were in one room, and then my sister was all the way down the hall.
Okay.
I did request a bathtub, but that
Mm-hmm.
also means that you get an older room. But that worked out for us because the boys really prefer baths anyway. And the
Mm-hmm.
view was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And these were all regular hotel rooms, and I'm just saying this for the listeners. They were not DVC villas or anything like that. So, just to give people a little bit of context about what your room might have looked like. But your in-law, or your sister's in-laws rather, who are over in Kidani. Kidani is exclusively DVC villas. So, do you know if they had a studio size room over there?
They had a 3 bedroom.
Oh, okay. Wait, who was all staying over in the 3 bedroom?
So it was just 3 adults. It's my sister's nephew, who's 29, I think,
Mm-hmm.
my mother-in-law, and then, or my sister's mother-in-law, and then
Mm-hmm.
my sister's sister-in-law was there too.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. That I was going to say 3 bedrooms for 3 people, two of whom I thought were the mother-in-law and father-in-law. So I was like, that's a lot of extra space. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. All right, let's go through all of your days and talk through all the fun you had. So upon arriving at Animal Kingdom Lodge, did you swim as you thought you might?
No, it was a really busy day. We didn't get to the pool for multiple days. We kept talking about it, but there
Mm-hmm.
was just, not a whole lot of time. Transportation and just doing all of the different things you want to do. And it fills up a day. So we didn't get to it for a little while.
Okay, what did you do on this first day then?
So I got the stroller, I got the groceries, and then we just sort of settled in. We went to Boma, all of us except for my sister's in laws that night. And dinner was really, really good. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think even like exceptional for Boma because they do serve different things on different nights. And
Mm-hmm.
even the kids really liked it. There was like a salmon that they really liked that had all these spices on it, and
Mm-hmm.
they had a bread pudding too, and it was really, really good. Everybody enjoyed it, even though there's a lot of people in our group that have very specific tastes, as you might find out later on.
But this is a buffet, right?
It is.
Which is nice for a group with a lot of different tastes because then everybody can get exactly what they want.
Yeah, although it is heavily African and Indian inspired, so there
Mm-hmm.
were not a lot of just like regular dishes like chicken fingers or hamburgers and things like that. It really
Mm-hmm.
was truly a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm. I think you said though that your kids are not chicken finger kind of kids, that they tend to eat more adult food. Does that hold true at a place like Boma?
Yes, they loved all the different stuff at Boma, although I will say they asked for cheeseburgers more often than I expected. We wound up at Restaurantosaurus the first day, and I was surprised that's where we wound up.
Mm-hmm.
But then we also went to Coral Reef a couple nights after that, and they wound up eating all of my husband's seafood boil, and he didn't get much of it.
Oh, well, it sounds like they're really into seafood then, because you said that they like the salmon and now they're eating all your husband's food at Coral Reef. So, seafood kids. Okay. Let's get into that first day then. So, Sunday, July 13th was an Animal Kingdom Park day. Did you rope drop?
Sort of, not exactly. So we got there well before early entry was over, but a little late for my sister's family's taste. They went on Yeti with my parents a couple of times. The Expedition Everest.
Mm-hmm.
While we got there a little later, like maybe 10 minutes after rope drop, and we went for a Navi River journey because my kids can't, or well, Charlie can't do Expedition Everest, and
Mm-hmm.
my husband kind of didn't want to. So we started with that, and it was a nice way to start off the morning.
Mm-hmm. How many things did you end up doing separately before you met back up as a group again?
That was it. We met up at the safari in the middle, and then
Mm-hmm.
waited on my sister's mother-in-law and their group until it was time for our lightning lane.
Mm-hmm. And you did have that multi-pass lightning lane. So what were the 3 things you booked in advance?
So we booked the safari, we booked the river rafting, Kilimanjaro, I think,
Kali River. Kali
Kali
River
River. That's
Rapids.
what it is.
Yeah.
We booked ones that I knew that Charlie could go on, at least
Mm-hmm.
initially, so that he wasn't left out a whole
Yeah.
bunch. I know we started with those two. We actually went on Kali River Rapids twice in a row because once we got off the safari, our lightning lane wasn't quite time for it yet, but the line was so short early in the morning, which we found with a lot of the water rides, that we were able to get on in 10 minutes. And then once we got out, it was time for our lightning lane. So we just went over again. And
Mm-hmm.
that was my kids' one of their favorite rides. So we did that twice.
Mm-hmm.
I I think after that, we went to Dinosaur.
Okay.
So they actually liked that one. I wasn't sure if they'd want to do it or not. My oldest kind of went back and forth because I told him there was a pretty realistic dinosaur, but they both did it. They both had fun. The lines were very, very low early in the morning, which was really nice.
Mm-hmm. How was the heat? Because it's the middle of July that we're talking about.
The heat the first few days was not as bad as the last few, but it was still very hot. And I think that that's why the crowd levels were really low, which was good. We got on a lot of stuff really fast. For a lot of things, we may not have needed lightning lanes, but we had them anyway. And for some things, I think it definitely saved us time. And even my husband agrees that when we go again, that we'll be doing lightning lanes again.
Yeah, no, I think if you can work it into your budget, it's well worth it, because then you know for a fact you have a way to ride at least a few rides with little to no wait, and then anything else you get on top of that is just sort of a bonus, in my opinion. And then you did some single pass lightning lanes too. So I know you had one for Flight of Passage, right? For you, your husband, and Teddy.
Yeah, so after we went to Dinosaur, we did Expedition Everest, but then right after that, we went to Flight of Passage. And that was a lot of movement in the heat. I don't normally have trouble with these types of roller coasters or rides, but I mean, I wasn't 100% certainly after that because there's a ton of dips in the Flight of Passage. But it was definitely very, very cool to do at least once. We did a rider swap for my husband, but then after we told him what the ride was like, he decided not to do it.
Oh, yeah. You said he's not into roller coasters.
Yeah, it was a very similar experience, I think. And so he just didn't want to feel sick with it being so hot.
Okay. But Teddy liked it?
Teddy liked it, yes.
Okay. Thrill seeker Teddy. Okay. Where did you head after that?
We had a little bit of time. We had a reservation at Yak and Yeti for later in the night. So we had a little bit of time right then. And my youngest said he saw a tiger that he wanted to get. So we went and we picked out a little like stuffy tiger with a blanket around it. And then we walked around a little more and my son decided he needed the same one. So we went back and got him another one. And then I think it was about time for dinner and we went to Yak and Yeti. It was a pretty late reservation and that was kind of nice because we got to see the park when it was closed. Our reservation was like 5:45. So by the time we were
the park
finished,
closes at 6, I think.
The park was empty.
Did you end up joining the Landry's Club? We talked about that in our first time talking.
I did, and that worked out really, really well. And I had gift cards from Costco too, so I used those. I thought I'd forget them. I thought about just maybe not doing that, but yeah, no, it worked out. Anytime you can get a little bit of a discount at Disney, may as well go for it.
I haven't been to Yak and Yeti in years at this point, but I actually wrote it into my schedule for next time to just remember that with that Landry's card, I could walk up. I don't necessarily have to have a reservation. So good way to get a table service in and not have to plan ahead for it. All right. What did you do with your evening?
So at that point, it was pretty late by the time we got back to the hotel. And for my kids, that's basically the end of the night. 7's a pretty normal end of the night. So we just got back to the hotel and did baths and got ready for the next day and sat out on the balcony for a little while. And then we got up the next morning and we were on time this time.
Okay. That was an Epcot day, Monday, July the 14th. So what did you end up doing at Epcot? Because I know you had multi-pass lightning lane for every day that you were park day that you were doing with your whole family. But when we spoke last, you hadn't made your reservations because it was not a week out yet.
Yeah. So we got there really early. We got there before everybody else actually. So we rope dropped Frozen, which wound up being my youngest's favorite ride. He really loves Frozen and Elsa and all of that. The ride actually froze on us that morning, so it took a little longer.
That's ironic.
I know. But it meant that we were like in the cool ride for a little bit longer. It froze at the part where Elsa sort of is supposed to push you back. And then once we got past that part, we got through those doors where she pushes you back. It also froze there again. But my son was okay with it. I thought he might be a little weirded out by Anna just not moving. But he was just like, or not Anna, Elsa. It's just like Elsa, Elsa. So it was fine. We did eventually go on it when it didn't freeze, so that was good.
Okay.
But because it took so long, we were a little bit late for meeting up with my family to do the Remy's Ratatouille ride
Hmm.
over in France because it's a little bit of a trek from Norway.
Which is, it's a bit of a trek no matter who you are, but when you have two children in tow, that can take a little bit of time.
Yeah, they got practiced in hopping in the stroller and
Hmm.
getting going, but there's always something with little kids, of course.
So did you end up riding Remy's as a group? Were they able to wait for you?
Yeah, we all rode it as a group together. I think we were just trying to get on it as fast as possible because it allows you to book your next lightning lane as soon as you all, sign in. But we
Hmm.
got there like right when the lightning lane started,
Hmm.
and then I was booking all the additional lightning lanes, and so I booked another ride for us as we were walking through the line. But we all did that one together. Everybody was good on that one, and
Hmm.
it was a really cute one. Ratatouille is one of our favorite movies.
It's so cute. I love the music in that they play in the France area. That's the Ratatouille music. It just there's something about it that just makes me feel, I don't know, very French.
I like it too, and I liked a lot of the background music. Some of our friends actually gave us kind of a tip. You can go on Spotify, and there's a whole like background music to the parks
Hmm.
playlist. So since we've been home, we've been playing that, and it has the songs from over in the French pavilion there too,
Hmm.
which we really like the Ratatouille soundtrack too.
Yeah, I like to listen to that when I'm working remotely. Well, really, when I'm working in person too. Although more people stop and try to talk to you when you're working in person, but just to have something going in the background that is not distracting, but gives you a little bit of a vibe while you're doing your work.
Mhm.
Where did you head after that?
We went to Turtle Talk with Crush.
Oh,
So
did the kids ask any questions?
no,
Are they
they,
shy?
not really. I don't know that they really. I think my nephew got picked for something, um, but I don't know. That one was kind of not. They like Nemo and everything, but it was just okay.
All right. Sometimes it's really good. It really just depends on what questions get asked. Did you spend any time walking around the aquarium while you were over there?
We walked around the aquarium a little bit, but we knew that we were going to be coming back, and that
Hmm.
coral reef is sort of around the same area. And I think that some people wanted to get food, so and we also had another lightning lane that was sort of overlapping. So we didn't stay in there a super long time, but we did let the kids look around a little bit.
So where did you head next?
We went to the seas with Nemo and friends,
Hmm.
and that was fine too. And then we went over to Sunshine Seasons and had lunch a little early. Then we went to Soren. None of the wait times were bad. Actually, after we went to lunch, there was Living with the Land, and we almost missed our next lightning lane because we did Living with the Land sort of like last minute because we were just right there already.
Hmm.
um, and I thought that was kind of nice, but everyone thought it was kind of slow and they were worried about hitting our next lightning lane. So, but I don't know. I'm glad I checked it off the list. I thought it was really chill and I liked it.
Yeah, you do have a 15-minute grace period at the end of every lightning lane, so
Well,
you're
that's one of the
allowed to be a
funny
little
things.
late.
That's what I thought. And I've heard that they allow you to get on even later. But the funny thing was that we heard people being turned away for just being a couple minutes late, which I thought was unusual because
I've never
I've
heard that.
been, yeah, I've been listening. I mean, we've talked to our friends that are annual pass holders, and I've,
Hmm.
read a lot about it. I did a lot of research, and I've never heard of them being that strict, but they were very strict, it seemed like. And it wasn't just one ride, it was a few.
So they turned you away from
No, no, we
being a
just
few
made
minutes,
it.
or you just
We
heard it
just,
about it?
yeah, we just made it. Well, we overheard people being turned away as we were standing there a couple of times.
I mean, I wonder how much of it was they were more than 15 minutes late, and to them that was just a couple of minutes late. You know what I mean? Because I mean, it you when I've talked to cast members before, they will flat out tell you you have a 15-minute grace period, and you can also tap into a lightning lane 5 minutes early. So I don't know.
I mean, they were fairly flexible with us. We weren't necessarily late to anything, but I would say in general, like if there was a problem and I explained it to them nicely, like all the cast members would fix it or figure it out. And like on our Hollywood Studios day, I kind of made a big boo boo, and they really helped me out on that day too.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get to that. What else did you do before your dinner reservation?
So we split up at this point, and my sister's family, well, everybody else besides my family, went to Frozen so that they could do that ride, but the line was pretty long. And so my kids had wanted to do the monorail, and so we just did the monorail on a loop while they were doing Frozen. So they got to do that. And then we were over by the Coral Reef for a little while. And we did Moana just really briefly before we all met up.
How was Coral Reef? I admittedly have never eaten there.
So I would not have chosen it myself. My sister had been there before, the one time that she's taken her kids, and I thought it looked like something the kids might like. So we went. It was okay. I don't know that we'll be going back. The kids like the seafood boil, but I think there's some other restaurants that I'd like to try, like Beer Garden and things like that, the next time that we go.
Beer Garden. Beer Garden is so much fun. Definitely go back and take the kids there.
Yeah, that's what our friend recommends, and it looked good to me, but my husband wasn't so sure. But he makes friends on the bus. We were separated, like you were talking about on the bus. You sort of have to coordinate the strollers, and so we talked to multiple different people, and I think he's convinced now that it's a good spot for the little kids.
Yeah, no, my husband absolutely loves the Beer Garden, and so it's a place that we go fairly frequently. Also because it's pretty easy to get in there even if you don't have a reservation. Like you can kind of on the fly be like, "Oh, I'd like to get a reservation today," and get one. The food is good.
I have a lot of German ancestry, but generally I don't really like German food. But I'll take your word for it and the advice of many others.
Yeah, I will tell you, like I also have German ancestry, and I'm not super crazy about German food, but there's plenty that I love there. There's so many little side salads and they have like a beer cheese soup that is really good and like potato pancakes and that sort of thing. I'm not into sauerkraut. But there's plenty that I enjoy eating there. And it's nice that it's a buffet so I can get up and kind of take more of the things that I do like. The entertainment is great. I'm not even a beer drinker, but that's one of the reasons that some people like to go there, but I'm not even a beer drinker and I love it there.
Yeah, I will drink beer, but I don't know in that heat if I didn't have anything in the middle of the day because it was just so hot. I don't
Yeah.
know how people hydrate. It was near 100 or 105 heat index most of the time we were there.
Oh my word. Wow. Yep. That's summer in Orlando for you.
We're kind of used to it. It's not that different than up here, but still, it doesn't make you not wish that it weren't a little bit cooler, because you really do have to make sure that you get, every time we saw a water fountain or a water bottle filler, like we made sure that we did that.
Yeah, yeah, you have to be really mindful of it because if you are not, it can really catch up with you and suddenly you do not feel well and it can affect the rest of your day. So, anybody who is visiting Disney, particularly in Florida during the high heat of the summer, you have to just continually drink water even if you don't think you're thirsty because it will really bite you.
Yeah. We did liquid IV too, which I think we felt
Mhm.
like was helpful. So we
Mhm.
did one of those every day. And I think my husband let himself get a little bit dehydrated. He had some Advil a couple of days because it really does catch up to you really quick.
Yeah, I always carry liquid IV packets in my bag in case I need them, and I would say on average, I do like 1 a day. But the biggest thing that I've made a change in my life so that it does not catch up with me is that when I am in Disney now, and it doesn't even have to be summer, this is just my Disney thing now, is when I'm on transportation on my way to a park, I make sure to finish at least one like 16-ounce bottle of water before I ever get to security. And so it's like starting my day having one of those in me at least kind of sets the tone for the rest of the day and making sure I'm staying hydrated. So I had to do that because I am not somebody who is typically a big water drinker. I've had to make an effort to become a water drinker.
Yeah, I get that. And, we had to make our kids drink water too. But, that also means that you kind of have a tour of the bathrooms as well.
Which is
So
fine.
it's a delicate balance. I would say the frozen ones are probably the best in Norway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
The most well themed and clean. But yeah, no, you have to make sure you're hydrated.
Yeah. Now, this was a day that had extended evening hours for guests who were staying at deluxe resorts, and your parents had agreed to watch the kids so that you and Will could have some time to enjoy those extended hours. Did that end up happening?
No, we were way too tired.
Oh.
All of us.
So you just headed out after dinner?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then did you get anything in at the resort that night, even though you were tired? Like movie under the stars, pool time, anything like that?
No, if it was after 8 o'clock, my kids were, on their last little bits of energy. So
Mm-hmm.
we did fireworks one night, but that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was tough getting up early and also staying up late. So we opted to do early because we were getting a lot of rides in when we got
Mm-hmm.
in for rope drop. So we just kind of opted to do that rather than stay in the park super late.
Yeah, that makes sense. You have to do what makes sense for your family and the dynamic of what everybody wants to do and how long they're able to go. All right. Tuesday, July 15th, Hollywood Studios. Walk me through this day.
So we got a ton of rides in this morning. We went to Tower of Terror first.
Mm-hmm.
Did that very, very fast. Everybody went on that. And then we went to Rock and Roller Coaster. And I rode that for the last time. That was my favorite ride. I don't think it is anymore though. So I'm
Oh,
not
okay.
mourning its demise as much. But it was fun, and I'm glad I got to go on it. My husband did not go, and my two kids could not go because they're not tall enough.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just me. I sat in a seat with my sister, and even my dad went on that one. He opted out of some of the rides too. But
Mm-hmm.
that, we went on that one. And then it was time for our first lightning lane after we got off of that. So I realized as we were walking from Rock and Roller Coaster to our first lightning lane that I had made a mistake with the Rise lightning lane, that Charlie wasn't on it even though he was tall enough to ride it. And so
Oh.
as I was walking out, I asked the person at the blue tent that's in between the two rides, Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster, what I could do. And he pointed me to another larger, not umbrella, but like a stand almost.
Mm-hmm.
And they helped me fix it. So they really, and they did it quickly too, which was
Mm-hmm.
really nice. I just walked really fast. And then by the time the whole group had caught up, they were passing by me. And then we went on to Toy Story Land for our first
Mm-hmm.
lightning lane.
Okay.
Yeah, so it worked out.
Okay. What was the first lightning lane in Toy Story?
We went towards Toy Story Land, but we actually went on Astro Orbiters before the first lightning lane. And we also went on Toy Story Mania.
Do you mean alien swirling saucers?
Our Alien Swirling Saucer, sorry.
Yeah.
The one that's over
Astro
there that
Orbiters is
spins.
in Magic Kingdom.
Yes, yes. So the Toy Story one that
Yes.
spins around that I did not go on because I can't do the things that spin. But so they did that. And then we did Toy Story Mania. And that was our first lightning lane. And that was a lot of fun. My husband beat us all pretty badly score-wise on that one because he's the biggest gamer out of the group. Although I think I did fairly well, all things
Mm-hmm.
considered. And then we went to Slinky Dog, and our lightning lane was not quite up yet.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that twice in a row because as soon as we got off, our lightning lane was up. So we did that 2 times. And in the heat, that got to me a little bit, I'm not going to lie, but Slinky Dog's a lot of fun.
How long did you wait when you did it standby the first time?
It said it was a 40-minute wait, but realistically, it was more like 25.
Oh, wow. Okay. Could you tell that before you hopped in line? Is that why you opted to get in line for it? Because it didn't look 40?
That's what I mean. It would be hard for us to tell with no experience, but yeah, that's sort of the hunch that we had. It didn't
Mm-hmm.
look like it was going to take that long.
Okay. What was after that?
I think, let's see, at this point, everybody was getting a little hungry, And so we started heading towards our next lightning lane, but it wasn't time for that yet. And we went into Galaxy's Edge and ate lunch at Docking Bay 7. That was really good. I liked sitting in the themed area. They didn't have the Ronto roasters yet, though, so I didn't get one of those. But the food was good. I had a salad.
Yeah, I like Docking Bay 7. It has good options, in my opinion. And it's nice that if it has both indoor and outdoor seating. So if you want to sit outside, if it's nice enough to sit outside, you can, or you can sit in the AC.
Yeah, we sat in the AC. We got a nice big table. We mobile ordered, and nobody else did, but they didn't see that we'd gotten this pretty large table. But I would say mobile ordering is the way to go because we got our food all the time much faster than everyone else who just went up to the counter.
Were they not mobile ordering for most of the trip, or they learned their lesson from this and started mobile ordering?
They never mobile ordered.
Why not?
I don't know, but I wasn't going to have that argument with them. I decided to pick and choose my battle.
Right. I mean, it doesn't have to be an argument per se because, you do what you want to do. But I can't imagine not doing it because it's so convenient. It's really nice that you don't have to stand in the line to wait to order. It's just, tells you when it's ready. It's easy.
I thought it was really easy. I was really impressed with how easy it was. I didn't know that a couple times we had to move the window and it worked out really well.
Yeah. To each their own. I mean, they're not the first people I've heard about not doing mobile order, but that's my tip is anybody who is comfortable using their phone, which most people are these days, do mobile order. It's just so much easier. All right. So based on the time of day I'm suspecting that we're in right now, it sounds like we were getting pretty close to your 2 p.m. droid appointment and you're already in Galaxy's Edge. Is that correct?
Yes, but we did Smuggler's Run. That was our lightning lane over there before we did the droids. So we probably didn't even need the lightning lane for that one, but we had it, and that was nice. You do skip a little bit of some of the things that you might want to see, which we noticed when we did it again later when you do the lightning lane. But that was cool. We got to fly the Millennium Falcon. And that went, well, and the kids liked it. Teddy liked it enough to ask for it again later in the trip. And then after that, we went to the droid appointment.
How was the droid appointment? That is not something that we've done. We've only built the lightsabers.
The droid appointment was really cool. It took a little less time than I expected, but the kids really enjoyed it. My husband thought it was really neat. And they got to pick out their own little droids, and they were playing with them later in the day. So I think it was well worth it. When we walked out, we actually ran into some stormtroopers, and the stormtroopers started telling the kids that they approved of their droids and that they were really cool. So that was kind of neat. Not in exactly that language, but it seems like the stormtroopers, unless they want to address you, they'll just ignore you. But it was cool that they came up to the kids and kind of talked to them.
That's cute. Did you take the droids over to that little droid rope? And it's not a roped off area, like a taped off area for people to set their droids down and like play. I think of it as a droid playground.
We did not actually. I don't even know that they mentioned it. If they did, I didn't hear it, and I didn't read about it either. So we didn't do that. But we also had other lightning lanes, set up, and like you were alluding to with Rise and stuff. So
yeah,
I don't know that we would have.
To be clear, it's not, you didn't miss anything big. It is like a square taped off on the ground or painted on the ground, and people put their droids down within that and then stand there and control them together. I said playground, there's no like ramps or anything for the droids to go up or anything like that. It's just like literally a square on the ground.
Yeah. So no, we didn't do that. And, my kids are little, so I'm sure that, it would have been difficult for them to do it with other people around too.
What was after that?
So we went to Rise after that. And I did not realize at the time, but there's 2 different routes that you can go on Rise. I think it's like orange and white and blue and red. Our friends told us after we went on it. So we did the blue-red one. And Charlie did get on it, my youngest. Like I said, he really enjoyed it, but he started talking to like the quote-unquote bad guys. And it was hard for them not to start laughing or smiling. He's very friendly. But so he made friends with the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was a really cool ride. I really appreciated how just intricate everything was. And it was a pretty good long like ride. It was almost more of an experience than a ride,
Oh
or
yeah.
like
Yeah.
two rides apart almost. But my husband and I really enjoyed that, but it wasn't worth going through the line again. And all the lightning lanes had sold out for single passes
Mm-hmm.
at that time. So that's the only time we got to do that one. But we thought it was really, really neat.
Yeah, for sure. I think everybody should experience that. I personally don't usually pay to ride it anymore at this point just because I've done it so many times. I just wait until I see a time when I can do it with not too bad a wait, or I single ride it.
Yeah, every time we were there, that was the ride. Because we did wind up going back to Hollywood Studios multiple times,
Mm-hmm.
just for a couple of rides here and there. But the times that we went, even when we rope dropped, that was the longest line in the park by far.
All right. You had a sci-fi dining package for Phantasmic this evening. What time did you end up needing to be at sci-fi?
So it would have been at 5:30, but we decided to opt out of that. Not because we didn't want to do sci-fi, but because we decided that with Phantasmic only having one showing and that being at 9:30, that just wasn't
Oh,
going
that
to
was too
work.
late. Yeah.
So we just canceled that.
Mm-hmm.
We did Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railroad, and then we wound up leaving the park. And this is the day that we actually did get to swim at the hotel for
Mm-hmm.
a little while.
How did you like the pool there?
The pool is really nice. The kids really liked it, and the slide and all of that. Um, they swam in there for like an hour or so, and we got dinner at Mara. But a couple days later, we checked out the pool at Kidani too, which we'd heard about.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd have to say that even though they're both really nice pools, the one at Kidani's, I think it's a little more interesting, and they have a splash pad, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a little bit nicer pool.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard that both the pools are good, but I have heard especially good things over at the Kidani pool. So, all right, Wednesday, July the 16th was a Magic Kingdom day, and you had a couple plans for this day: a single pass for Seven Dwarfs, a Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique for your niece and both of her grandmas. Lots of fun to be had. Tell me all about it.
Yeah, so the Bippity Boppity Boutique made it so that they missed out on a few things, but my niece had a great time. She decided to be Rapunzel. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but before they went to that, we did get a couple of rides in. We did pictures in front of the castle. We actually had two matching shirts. I was not aware of this until we actually arrived. Um, but my sister's mother-in-law had gotten matching shirts for everybody in the group. And so we did a picture in front of the castle in those shirts that morning.
And what
Um,
did those look like?
they're just white and blue. It says Disney 2025.
Mm-hmm.
They're cute. Um, and so, but in the morning, we got into the Buzz Lightyear ride and the People Mover before early entry was done. And then they went, both the grandmas and my niece went to Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique or headed in that direction. And then everybody
Mm-hmm.
kind of split up a little bit. Um, my family and my dad went to go do the laugh floor because it had a really short wait time. And that was
Mm-hmm.
really cute. And my kids really liked that show. And my sister just kind of hung out and got coffee with her two boys. And I think my nephew had his first coffee there. My oldest
Really?
nephew. He's only 10. Um, but my sister really likes coffee.
Yeah, my Alex really liked coffee from a very young age too, so I get it.
And then once we got off of that, Chip and Dale were out. So my oldest nephew took pictures with my two,
Hmm.
and those were cute. Um, but then it was time for the first lightning lane. We did Tomorrowland Speedway, and my kids really liked that because I got to drive a car. And my kids are very into any motor vehicle of any sort, so they love that part. Um, and let's see, then we had a lightning lane. We did Buzz Lightyear's again, a second time. And then we went over to our third lightning lane at Space Mountain. And
Hmm.
my husband and Charlie did not go on Space Mountain. My husband did eventually go later in the trip, but he did not go this time.
Hmm.
And then after that, we had a lightning lane for I think we booked one for Barnstormer, which the kids liked, and we did that multiple times. It's nice and short, cute little roller coaster for small kids. Charlie especially liked that one. And there's like a little play area over there too. We didn't get to until later in the trip, but he enjoyed that with like some water and things like that. And then we ate lunch at Pinocchio's and did a lightning lane for Seven Dwarves after that.
Did everyone do Seven Dwarfs?
I think everybody did do Seven Dwarfs. No big dips or anything that anybody was real worried about. So I think all of us did do that. And there's really good air conditioning in the line queue too.
Yeah, agreed. Very important.
So after that, we started our sort of long journey towards like Adventureland. It's a little bit of a walk, especially in the heat, but we got on Jungle Cruise. We had a lightning lane for that. Then my kids were pretty much done at that point. They were pretty tired. So, but there was one particular dessert that I really wanted to try that was over there. So we did stop before we left the park, and we got an I Lava You float, which my husband said was going to be disgusting because it sounded so sweet. And I'm not the biggest sweet person, but I do love ice cream. And I thought it was great. And he actually had some, and he thought it was great. It has like little Pop Rocks on it, and I think it's like mango Dole Whip, and then strawberry soda. And the kids really liked it too. Me and the kids ate the vast majority of it, and pretty quickly.
Yeah, especially in the heat, because if you don't, it's all going to be gone. All right. So then you headed back to the resort, you said?
Yeah, we left. It was funny. The rest of the family wasn't going to leave, but then we kind of all met back on the bus. But my family went and we left, and we went back to the pool at Kidani this time. And they had a great time there, and they made a bunch of friends in the pool, and they were going down slides, and they were kind of crazy. They went in the hot tub too. I don't know how, but they really liked the slide, and they really liked the water play area. It was really nice, and they really didn't want to leave, but we had dinner reservations at Sanaa, so we made them leave around like 5:15 to get ready for our 6:00 reservation at Sanaa.
And was that dinner reservation for the entire group?
No, it was for just my sister initially. Initially, it was for everybody, but they decided fairly early on, well before the trip, that they didn't want to do that one because they wanted to be sort of back in the parks. So it was me and my family, and then my parents, and we all had dinner there.
Okay, how did you like that in comparison to Boma?
I think I prefer Boma. Sanaa was good, but it was limited. The bread service was good, but I guess I built it up a lot because so many people talk about it so much. The kids did like it. It was good. I don't know that if we weren't staying there that we'd go back, but it was good.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've been back, but I remember liking it a lot. But I've never been to Boma, though, and I keep hearing such amazing things about Boma.
I'm not the biggest like buffet person, but I really, really like Boma.
Yeah, especially from what I've heard, the breakfast there is supposed to be top notch.
Yeah, we did not do breakfast this time, but we've done breakfast in the past, and it's also very good.
This particular evening, you had mentioned that there were extended hours at Animal Kingdom. Did you make it back for those?
No. Anything, once it got later in the day, my family was pretty much done. We nearly rope dropped almost every day, but past a certain hour, like 6:00 or so, we were pretty much done for the day for the most part.
All right. Well, getting into Thursday, July the 17th, this was the rest of your family's rest day, and you were planning to maybe go to Blizzard Beach and maybe Magic Kingdom, but you were kind of up in the air on what the actual plans would be. So how did it turn out?
So this day was a little different than what I expected. It all turned out really well, but I was really glad we had a park hopper on this day because we went to Hollywood Studios thinking that we would do Slinky Dog, but there were a bunch of rides down when we got there, and they were announcing it as we walked down Hollywood Boulevard. We turned around and we went on the Skyliner,
Mm-hmm.
because the kids had said that they wanted to do that. So we went on the Skyliner and we went to Epcot and we made it to Frozen right before the early hours were over. And it wasn't a long wait. It was like 20 minutes or so, and it did not break down that time. So
Good.
that was good. Definitely a different experience.
Yeah, for sure. So did you end up staying in Epcot or did you hop again?
So we did stay in Epcot for a little while. We really went into Moana's and like stayed there.
Mm-hmm.
And tried everything out and did all the different effects. The first time I went in there, it was just with my youngest while we were waiting around. My oldest didn't want to go in.
Mm-hmm.
But this time they both went in and they spent a lot of time doing all the different things, and nothing was broken down that time. There were a couple little things that were not working the first time that we went in.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a few things that you have to be coordinated with. So having all of us, and then we had a couple of like other people that we just met there, do like this one part where you have to put up your arms and get the water to react and things like that. We were able to do that and get a really big reaction. So that was kind of cool.
And what did the rest of the family do on their rest day?
So we did wind up, because Frozen and Moana doesn't really take that much time, we did wind up all meeting at Blizzard Beach around like lunchtime.
How was Blizzard Beach?
Blizzard Beach was good. I think it was definitely the right choice for the little kids. I'm really the only one that has like physically small children. My youngest nephew, or my sister's youngest, he looked at some of the smaller kid things and went, no, because he's tall enough to go on the big stuff. But my kids really liked the wave pool, and we went on like the racing slides and the lazy river and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a good time, and they actually crossed the little area with like the icebergs that you have to climb over. I wasn't sure if my youngest was going to be able to do that because he's just not very tall yet. But he did it, and he didn't fall, and they had a good time there. So I'm glad we spent a few hours there, but I don't think we'd ever spend like a whole day.
Okay. What did you do after the water park?
So we went back to the hotel and did our regular nightly routine, but I convinced my husband to go try for fireworks that night. Mm-hmm. So we went to Epcot, and my oldest liked it, but my youngest fell asleep in the stroller midway through. Mm-hmm. So that was the only time we did any fireworks. I have to say, from what I remember from the old fireworks, I prefer the old show that they had, like the last time I was there. But it was nice. I wanted to be able to get out for one of the shows one of the nights. So it was nice to be able to do that.
Now, I am looking back at my notes and I completely skipped over this. Did you have breakfast at Chef Mickey's?
We did not. My family was really tired.
Okay.
And I think my sister actually changed. We decided kind of early on that probably wasn't going to happen with my four. And my sister, I think she rescheduled it. Or no, never mind. That was that morning. But my family was tired, and so we just decided we weren't going to commit to that.
Okay, so they did it still and then met up with you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
and at that point, too, like neither one of my kids, we kept trying to like see if they want to do character meet and greets, and they really hadn't warmed up to the characters either. Mm-hmm. So, and we asked them if they wanted to go, and they said no. Although by the end, both of my kids liked some of the characters, and we got some good photos and stuff. But even with super short lines for some of their favorite characters like Elsa and Anna, and just a bunch of the characters that I know they like Buzz Lightyear or something like that, they were like, no, we're good. So we just kind of skipped that one. But my sister's family really enjoyed it.
That brings us to Friday, July the 18th. It was another Magic Kingdom day. How did this day pan out?
So this day we wound up hopping a bunch too, because my sister's family really, really wanted to go on Tron and Guardians again. They had done Tron in Magic Kingdom like right before we got there, I think, the one morning. And they wanted to, like, Guardians is a really good ride, so they wanted to do it again. We just weren't sure that with as late as the Lightning Lane they got, that we wanted to do it, so we didn't wind up doing that, but we followed along with them. We started out in Magic Kingdom, and we kind of finished up all the rides that we wanted to do that we hadn't done yet. And we had lightning lanes for some of the big ones, like our first lightning lane was Tiana's. And after we did Tiana's, Well, I really like Tiana's for one. And we wound up doing that, just my four and our friends, multiple times one morning, or I think it was just my four. But then after we did Tiana's, we went to do a castle picture with my family with the Un Poco Loco shirts that morning after everybody had dried out a little bit. And so we got a bunch of those photos, and those turned out well. After Tiana's, we had a lightning lane. Everything opens up, so I just booked whatever was available. I booked Space Mountain, and I let my husband go with Teddy this time. And he said he's probably not going again, but he's glad he tried it. So at that point, though, we wound up leaving Magic Kingdom fairly early to go to Epcot, because that's where, the Guardians of the Galaxy Lightning Lane was. And we ate at Regal Eagle. That's where my brother-in-law wanted to eat. He sort of led a lot of the lunch decisions, and I think his mom probably too. I think one thing I didn't mention is that they're diabetic, so they kind of had to choose some of the places. But, it seemed like they were able to find something. I don't know about the barbecue. We'd probably do something a little bit different, but we tried that out, and it was fine. We mobile ordered there. It worked out really well. I mobile ordered while I was on the Skyliner, and I had to move the window on that one, but that was really easy. So that all worked out. And then we headed towards Guardians, even though we didn't get on it. My oldest hadn't picked out a souvenir from my parents yet. He'd been sort of being picky and looking around a lot. And so he said he wanted something space related. But when we talked with people in some of the regular shops, they're like, this is probably not the park for your space related stuff. But if you want to go check out a store with space stuff, probably the best one is Mission Space. So we went over there, and he picked out this little space rover thing. And then his brother got a matching one later too, because they liked it. I don't know if I mentioned before, the first day we were at Epcot, this is my favorite drink. We got a couple of Goofy's Gone Fishing drinks, which is sort of special right now. It's like a blue raspberry slushy with gummy fish on top, and then strawberry boba balls on bottom. And it was really,
where
really good.
Where do you get it?
Grab and Goof.
Wait, where's Grab and Goof?
It's near that Disney Junior thing. It's sort of close to Club Cool and Guardians and all of that. It's sort of in that hub there.
Oh, okay. Okay. Got it.
That was really, really good. We got multiple of those throughout the trip. So since my family wasn't going on the Guardians, we walked around a little bit. We did Moana's again for a little while, and then we walked to France and got these little croissants with ice cream in them, croque de glace. And that was really good. Charlie had fallen asleep on the way there, though, so he didn't get one. And then we walked to Norway to get an Elsa item that he wanted to get. And he woke up for that.
Oh, of course he did. He's like, it's Elsa. I'm awake.
And my husband and I got frozen cappuccinos just to keep ourselves awake at that point. And we've been doing
days
that.
Were catching up with you.
Yeah, but we've been doing that throughout the trip. I'm sort of notorious for drinking quite a bit of coffee, but I wasn't going to have hot coffee on a day like those. But the weird thing about Epcot is that you can only get those at Canada and America. So you kind of have to trek a little bit to get those. The regular Joffrey's carts don't have them for the most part.
Okay. And then you had dinner plans this night at Disney Springs in T-Rex. Did you keep those dinner reservations?
We canceled those pretty early on because we just realized it was going to be too late. And then my brother-in-law and my sister's youngest wanted to do Tron again because her youngest is a huge roller coaster aficionado and he can ride all of the rides. So they went on Tron again, but it was very, very late. And so we didn't make it to Disney Springs. But yeah, we needed to pack and go back to the hotel and, get food and be ready for the next day. So we were pretty much done at that point after they did Guardians.
So the next day, July 19th, which was a Saturday, the rest of your family was leaving and you and your family were doing a split stay and moving over to All Star Sports. So did you like All Star Sports? It's sometimes hard to downgrade to be in a deluxe resort like that and then go to a value, but how did that work out for you?
I was really surprised at how much I liked it and how nice I thought it was just for, being like a, that tier,
Mm-hmm.
I will say the room was kind of small and fitting the stroller in there was a little bit of a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there was no balcony, which I really like my balconies, but I thought it was really, really nice and well kept. And our travel agent made sure that we were put in a room where it was quiet but close to everything too.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we got to take advantage of this deal that they had, so we just paid a regular rate, but we were sort of in a preferred room.
Mm-hmm.
But it was nice. We liked it, but we didn't actually see that hotel until much later in that day because we had our bags transferred from Animal Kingdom. We got up very early, Animal Kingdom Lodge, to that resort, so we weren't back there until like 6:30 at night, maybe 7.
Mm-hmm.
And that they had everything in our room with the exception of one bag, which was no big deal. I just called and they brought it like a half hour later.
Oh, so when you did your bag transfer, they not only brought it over to All Star Sports, but they put it into your room for you.
Hmm.
That's really nice. For a while there, they did not always do that.
Yeah, it really seemed like a sort of almost like a deluxe perk. Like it was just so
Mm-hmm.
smooth. We didn't have to do anything. And
Mm-hmm.
we had like a similar experience because they have this deal right now. We had a similar experience when we were leaving because there's a deal with sort of like the budget Disney resorts and Southwest, and they just took
Mm.
all our bags. And that was really nice too.
This was a day that you were also going to be meeting up with your friends who lived in the Orlando area. So, did that end up happening?
It did end up happening, but there was a little bit of a mishap. They had a plumbing issue that delayed them a little bit,
Uh-huh.
but they got it fixed in time to meet us like mid afternoon. Um,
Okay.
so we started out. We had planned on starting out at Magic Kingdom because that's where the rides that our pregnant friend could do were.
Mm-hmm.
But also we hadn't done all of the rides yet. There were still a handful because there's just so many there that we wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did those. We did Tiana's twice in a row. They weren't there in the morning, and that was really good. I mean, it was already like 100 heat index at that point, even though it was 9 o'clock in the morning or 8:30. And we did that very, very fast. No lightning lanes or anything like that. And then we went on. We did Pirates since we were kind of over in that direction. And then we kind of just did stuff as we like walked along. I thought Pirates was really, really nice. There's a dip there in the middle that I did not expect, but the kids enjoyed that too. And we just kept kind of walking towards like the Barnstormer area, and we did stuff along the way. We did It's a Small World. We did Mickey's Filler Magic.
Mm-hmm.
And we did Barnstormer again because my kids really liked that. And then the last thing that we did was the railroad because my kids are completely obsessed with trains. So we did that, and it doesn't go in a circle right now. So we just kind of did a to the front and back trip.
Mm-hmm.
And then we exited and went to Epcot, and that's where we met our friends.
What did you end up doing in Epcot?
So the first thing that we went to was the Three Caballeros because we hadn't done that yet.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really cute. Nice and cool, and the temple in the middle is pretty neat. It was just like I remembered it, really.
Mm-hmm.
Just sort of, kept intact really well. I guess it's probably been refurbished multiple times since I've been there, but it seemed the same. And
Mm-hmm.
then we went to Figment, which is our friend's favorite, which I think is really
What?
goofy, but the kids liked. I know.
I never hear anyone say that Figment is their favorite.
I don't know if he really means it or not.
He's
I
being
think he does,
sarcastic.
but well, I don't think he's being sarcastic, but I think it's just one of his favorites.
Okay.
But the kids enjoyed the part where he farts, so I guess at least they enjoyed it. But then after that, our friend who's pregnant was hungry, and the kids were getting a little hungry too. So we all went to the Chinese pavilion and had a little lunch. She wanted to get, I think it was cheeseburger spring rolls, maybe.
Hmm.
Or I'm not sure, something like that they had there.
They have
But she
cheeseburger
missed out.
spring rolls in Magic Kingdom.
It was, I think they have bao buns or something. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
But she wanted to get the spring rolls in the morning, but obviously because of their little plumbing issue, they weren't able to join us there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we went back to the resort. They joined us. I will say having like a smaller, room was a little tough with them hanging out. There wasn't a lot of space to sit when you had 6 people in there.
Mm-hmm.
But they hung out for a little bit, and then, we all just kind of got ready for the next day. And yeah, we set up the room and got ready for our last full day at the parks.
Did you cancel that Hacienda del San Angel?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Because the kids at that point were just not sitting for anything at all.
Yeah, I was pretty sure I knew the answer, but I thought I should ask.
Yeah, our friend was a little disappointed because that's her favorite restaurant, and I can see why, but I'm glad we didn't make them sit multiple days in a row because I just don't think they would have done it.
Yeah. All right. So your last full day was Sunday, July 20th, and this was another day to hang out with friends. And I think you were park hopping between Epcot and Magic Kingdom. How was that? And did you make your lunch reservation at Space 220?
So we did make our lunch reservation. We woke up and went to Hollywood Studios that morning. Because our friends are annual pass holders, they don't get the extra hours because they weren't staying on property. So we got there early and we did Slinky Dog again and we did Toy Story Mania again. And then they were able to meet us around like 10:15 for the first showing of Indiana Jones, which started at 10:45. We got seats together in the middle, and those fans in there are pretty nice. Even though it's an outdoor theater, it was very cool. And I remember that show from when I was a kid, and it was just as cool. Like, some of the things are a little different when you're an adult. It doesn't quite hit the same, but that was just as neat. And I don't think they've really changed very much, but and my kids were enthralled by it. And that was a really fun show. I'm glad we did. And then after that, there's so many shows in Hollywood Studios, and we didn't do any the first day. And so we were trying to figure out which one we should do. And of course, my youngest wanted to do the Frozen one, and it's right there. So we did the Frozen show, and he loved that. My oldest was sitting there with a tablet watching a truck show. But my youngest was absolutely just floored and loved the snow when it came down at the end. And he had so much fun. He lit up, and his smile was so big.
Wait, can we move back a second? What talk show was Teddy watching?
Oh, a truck show.
Oh, I thought you said a talk show. And I was like, how odd. Okay.
Colbert. Yeah, Colbert.
That's funny. All right. What was after that?
So we did Frozen. We went to the shop and got a matching Elsa stuffy for one of Charlie's friends who has a birthday next month. And then we went to Epcot to make sure we were there in time for our Space 220 reservation. We made it in time, and we were standing right next to Mission Space with about 20 minutes before they'd let us check in. So everybody besides me and our pregnant friend went on Mission Space, the green version. They all seemed okay afterwards, but in my opinion, it's basically just being jiggled around in a box.
Yeah, it's not for me, even the green version.
They liked it. They enjoyed it. I'm glad they all went. I just kind of hung out and talked with our friend. And then it was funny because afterwards, our friends are actually aeronautical engineers who are working on the Artemis project down there. And they were talking about the inaccuracies or some things that don't quite, make sense on that ride and stuff, like on the way up as we were going up into Space 220. Some of it I'm sure was over my head, but I was just like, whoa, well, that's interesting. But that was really cool. So we went up into Space 220, and for anybody who doesn't know, it just sort of, you get into like a capsule and it sort of launches you up, and you can see yourself like going up this pole into the atmosphere out of the Earth into space. And that was really, really neat. And, we all could watch it, and the kids were up close and stuff like that. So that was neat. It was cool ambiance, and, the food was pretty good, but that's not really the main thing. I was hoping to see the astronauts with the lightsabers, but those guys did not come around while we were up there. But the kids got some special drinks with like these light up cubes in them that they really liked that looked like rocket ships. And they both got this special dessert called the Milky Way, where they pour this like hot cocoa over it. and it melts this like sort of fabric of chocolate over the top of like this ice cream dish.
Uh-huh.
And the waitress sort of talked my youngest into doing it because he just really wanted vanilla. But she's like, he's going to be jealous. And I was like, well, that makes total sense. And he would have been if he didn't get it. But as soon as he like tried to bite into the ice cream thing, he's like, I want vanilla. So they got him vanilla, which was really nice, because that's what he wanted. And then, so we got a picture up there and we left, and we saw that the wait for Soren was pretty short. And even though it was getting, later in the day, we decided to just go on it. And that was fun to do again. But my husband left his glasses on it, his sunglasses. And this was the pair that I'd ordered for him because he'd broken a pair already. And like for anybody that needs to, you can get almost anything delivered to like Bell Services and they'll just take it. So I had some sunglasses from Amazon delivered to the hotel for him. And those are the glasses that he'd left there. That was pretty convenient. I was glad we were able to do that because we're a little picky about those. And but we did eventually get the glasses, and we headed to the Skyliner after that to go back to Hollywood Studios with our friends, just to sort of walk them back to their car and all that. But our plans were sort of foiled at that point. We let our pregnant friend decide what mode of transportation she wanted to go on. We were closer to the Skyliner, I think, at that point is what she decided. But we only made it about halfway, and we wound up stranded at the Riviera because there was a storm coming.
Oh, no.
And it was a good thing. Once we got there, we're like, okay, we're not going to sit here and wait for it to reopen. But we went out to the buses through the Riviera, which has some really pretty murals in it that we saw. But the bus sign said, to get to Hollywood Studios, take the Skyliner, which, of course, at that point was not available. So we went to Animal Kingdom, the park, and then we took buses from there. And we said goodbye there because it was getting a little later.
All right. And I know that you had wanted to do Happily Ever After. It does not sound like that happened. No. So did you head to bed and get ready for your travel day?
Yeah. So we did. And the Starlight Parade was that night too, and all of that. There was a soft opening while we were there, actually, that we missed. But that parade is just, the whole show, all the shows in Magic Kingdom are just sort of later than the others. And so there was really no way that we were going to be making those. My kids just weren't going to make it that late. But hopefully in the future, that's something that we can do. It's still something we have to look forward to. But we got a full-sized pizza from the food court and a salad and watched Incredibles and fell asleep that night, packed up.
Perfect. Some nights you just need that. So that brings us to Monday, July 21st, and this was your departure day. You were talking about maybe getting in some last-minute swimming before your flight. Did that happen, or were you just too tired?
So the pools don't open up until 10 a.m., so I swapped plans and convinced my husband to take the kids with me to the parks. We had initially discussed splitting up and taking Charlie to Frozen and Teddy to Slinky Dog, but then we realized that their passes are both under my fingerprint, so that wasn't going to work. But they both like Slinky Dog, so we took all our bags. I got up really early and took the stroller and returned the stroller, so they were walking that day. And then I took the bags to Bell Services. The checked luggage, they were able to just take that for us, and we didn't see that until we got back to St. Louis. And then like our carry-on bags, they held. And then we had one small bag with us, and we went to Hollywood Studios. We got in line for Slinky Dog, and there was a delayed opening, and I was getting worried we wouldn't get on it. But they said it was a slight delay, which I think was a bit of a fib because it was a half-hour delay. But we did get on, and we got one last ride, and we still had enough time to go on Smugglers again. And that wound up being our last ride. The funny thing was that Charlie really wanted to pilot that time. And so we let him do the up-down one, which is probably the more important of the two. And we actually got a better score that time than we did before. Yeah, I don't know how that happened. But he enjoyed that.
So did everything go okay with your return travel?
Yes, everything went very smoothly. There were no delayed flights. Having the baggage transfer was really nice because, it's nice to have your hands open for your kids to make sure they don't run into traffic or something. But I really liked that. part of it. If I could do that again, I might set it up so that we could do it that way again, especially while the kids are younger. It's just, like I said, it's nice having hands, not having to use them for luggage and things like that when you're traveling. We did go back on Mears, and I don't know that I would do that again, because on the way there we had sort of almost a private transfer, because I think it was not a busy day. It was just one other family getting dropped off at All Star, and then we got dropped off at Animal Kingdom. But on the way back, it was a really big bus, and the bus was very nice, but there were lots of stops, and it took a long time. And I did ask for them to move back our transfer by an hour so that we could get some rides in the morning. And I was starting to get a little bit nervous, although we made it with plenty of time, just because it was taking just so long to get to the airport from the time that we were picked up. So I think next time we'll probably do a private transfer. If we don't drive down there, I think we might actually try to drive down next time and do like multiple stops along the way, like Nashville and Atlanta and that type of thing.
So since you brought it up, when do you think the next time will be?
So there's a bounce back offer, which I'm sure a lot of people know about. And so we did book that for the Coronado for the very last week of May next year at the tail end of Flower and Garden. So I'm hoping I get to see a little bit of that, but we will see. It's tentative. My husband is going back and forth a little bit, but it's so flexible. We'll be back at some point.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah, we are booked. And we're also planning a trip with some of our close friends, a family we're close with, to California for spring break next year to Disneyland. So that'll be fun too.
Yeah. Okay. Is Amy, your travel agent, going to help you with that trip as well?
Yep, definitely. I'm using Amy from here on out for sure.
Amy Belfi, fantastic lady. And I've got her information in the show notes for everybody who wants to access that. She's a fantastic travel agent. And she's actually going to be back on the show again in the near future. So people can have that to look forward to. I have one follow-up question for you, Alex, before we depart. You said earlier when we were talking that Rock and Roller Coaster is not your favorite ride anymore. So what is?
I think it's Guardians. I love indoor roller coasters, and there's certain movements that get to me, but that wasn't one of them. The spinning wasn't as bad as I thought, and I just loved how different it was, but that it was indoors, and the music too. And by the way, I got Conga as my song. But I look forward to hopefully in the future, getting, I think it's 6 songs. So maybe
6 total.
Hopefully getting all of them.
Okay. All right. Well, that was the right answer. That's my favorite ride in all of Disney. It's been so much fun talking with you, Alex. I really appreciate you coming on the show. And shout out again to Amy Belfi. Please, if anybody's looking for a travel agent, check her out. And thank you so much. I hope you have a magical rest of your weekend.
Thanks for having me. You too, Virginia.
Thank you again to Alex for coming on the show. It was a lot of fun to hear about your trip, especially with it being so long since you were last in the parks. Alex's travel agent, again, is Amy Belfi, who was also Elizabeth's travel agent. And I know that she would love to help plan your next trip. So you can find all of her information in the show notes if you are looking for your own travel agent. And that is a wrap on today's podcast. Thank you all for tuning in, and I hope you will be back for more. Until then, keep daydreaming about where you long to be.